Third chair recognizes the Honorable Kathy Crawford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Rep. Athendulis, you set a very high bar with all the nice things you said. My speech is nothing like that. So, Madam Speaker, inasmuch as I've been writing this speech for 6 years, you might want to sit down, because this could take a while. Quiet, Cynthia. It's tough to sum up 6 years of your life in 10 minutes or less. And since my husband served in the House for 6 years before me, my connection to this awesome body has been more like 12 years. So this morning I took a look at my horoscope just for fun, and it said, today may be tiring, but you will sleep easy this evening once everything dies down. So that has me worried all day long when I was thinking about how my speech was going to go. I never entertained an idea to run for public office, but I was invited to a Christmas party years ago, and I was served a very powerful beverage, and by glass 3, I was running for Novi City Council. So I'm disappointed in myself that I'm that easy, but you know, it's out there, so oh well. After that party, I called my 80-year-old cousin in Nashville, Tennessee, who is very politically connected, and I told her that I was asked to run for Novi City Council, and I wanted to know what she thought about it. And she said in her wonderful Southern drawl, she said, "Why, Kathleen, that will make you so much more interesting." So I suppose she was correct. I do feel that I am more interesting now. So I've heard a lot of these farewell speeches over the years. Some have used this opportunity to list all their grievances, and others have just recited a long list of names of people they want to thank, and I've heard many people cry through the entire speech. So I hope I don't do that. So I thought a great deal about what I should say. First, every person in this room, and all those I've met over the past 6 years, all of you are certainly memorable, as long as I have a memory. So my 6 years of memories are too numerous to mention, but there are some that really stick out, I must say. 6 years ago, when I got my committee assignment, I was excited to get put on the health committee. So at the first committee meeting, the room was packed. It was packed with lobbyists who came to check out all the newbies. You know, one of the first things that Chairman Calton did ask each of us was to introduce ourselves and to share some information. So in my infinite wisdom, I thought it's best to tell why I felt that I was qualified to be on the prestigious health committee. So I began to list every single medical procedure I had ever undergone. There were a lot of ectomies. Lumpectomies, bunionectomies, hysterectomy, and by the time I got to gallbladder removal, hammer toes, breast cancer, 2 knee replacements, and a hip replacement that's been recalled, I began to notice how quiet it was in the room. And then I ended with my final statement that I hardly had any original parts left. And there was a small clap that began with Chairman Calton, followed by nervous laughter and a little more clapping. I don't advise the use of this strategy to anyone new to a committee. Chairman Calton played the harmonica and he sang parodies, and he was also a chiropractor, and he offered to provide adjustments in his office. Some people went to his office, and I don't know what was going on in there, but I was not so inclined to go there. Rep. DeAnda hosted a group of us to the dog sled races in the UP. I don't know how people live up there. There's ice and snow everywhere, all year long. I suppose they don't notice because they drink all the time. But when we went to breakfast and I was expecting coffee, I got thimbleberry margaritas instead. So I could actually get used to that, for sure. I'm reminded of Holly Hughes, who always was so worried about me because she wanted to be more careful about what I said on the House floor. And when I use my flip signs, I have a I have a tin, I have a set of flip signs that I've used, and you probably are not aware, but there's 10 of them. So she was afraid for me. I actually used "this sucks" so much that it fell apart. Um, I have frequently used the "you're fired" on Johnson and Riley for their affinity for voting no on everything. And of course, the perfect one for today is lame. So I'll leave this for my great seatmate, Sue. She'll be lame in 2 years, if not before. So Rep. Aller and I have been seatmates now for 4 years, and I appreciate her more than she knows. And she always goes for stuff for me. Lunch somewhere, cookies in the back room, and she always brings 2 at least. And of course, Rep. Aller knows CPR, which I am sure was taken into consideration with my seat assignment. I am the oldest one in the House floor here. So Hank is right behind me in the old person caucus. He and I were very suspicious of our seat assignments this year because with a nurse at my side and an EMT next to him and the AED just outside the door and the aisles wide enough for a gurney, a coincidence? I think not. Speaker Chatfield sat right in front of me for 2 years, and who would have ever thought he could do anything like be speaker for sure, because he just sat at his desk for hours with his head down, sending little love messages home to his wife and his growing little army that he was producing. He was not home very much, but I think it was often enough. Well, now in the year of COVID, I think it's the perfect time to thank Reps Corser and Gamrat for getting me started early on sanitizing my desk and washing my hands more frequently. I have always enjoyed the characters of the caucus, and we have a lot of them here. Rep. Iden is chair of Reg Reform with his little spiffy bow ties. He always opened the meeting as chair, as like a ringmaster at the Shrine Circus. Or Rep. Shepard, who could actually make a living on stage doing impressions. He's got all of you down pat. And how about one of the greatest swearers of all time, Laura Cox, filled the swear jar every caucus with $5 bills. Pete Lucido, I have to mention Pete Lucido because I'm kind of mad at Pete. He was so loud behind me that I had to get hearing aids my second year when I was here. When I was primaried, he yelled across the aisle at me, "Crawford, I know some guys that can help you." You know, he knows a lot of guys from Macomb who can fix stuff for you. I don't think you should call him, no. So what about the gigglers of the House? You know, they laugh frequently, but mostly it's an amazing bubble up of giggles. Julie Callie is a great giggler. But so is Rep. Hall. Who would ever think the guys are great gigglers? Rep. Hall, Rep. Lauer, and Affy, the first Affendulis, he was a giggler. O'Malley has a wicked sense of humor, but has a difficult time keeping his hands to himself next to me in caucus. So, my first seatmate, Amanda Price, was also an awesome seatmate. Amanda was present when the first time I was handcuffed by Sergeant Dixon. He cuffed me twice in my first 2 years. On one occasion, he said it was sexual harassment. I disagreed, but Clerk Randall had filed a charge against me saying I touched him inappropriately. But to clear the air, and I think it's time, he was in fact bending over in the aisle to such an extent that I could not pass. And I don't remember exactly where my hands were when I went past him. But he was totally mistaken. I just want to clear the air with that right now. Another time I was handcuffed, this time to my chair, related to an additional Clerk Randall accusation, and it had to do with what I thought was a well-deserved official citation that I made because Alice had complained about him. Alice assured me she had seen the infractions of Clerk Randall, that he had been napping at work, and that also he liked to show off his muscles while he was exercising. So Alice got me in trouble and arrested that time. Floor Leader Cole also got me arrested in Gaylord by a sheriff. I had taken a busload of senior ladies to Petoskey, but stopped in Gaylord for lunch and on the way home, and there were wanted posters all over the restaurant that we went into. Kathy Crawford, wanted for dereliction of duty, not attending session, and so his sheriff put me in cuffs. A couple other people I want to mention is Rep. Peterson, Connie Peterson. I don't care if you call every other woman you ever meet the lady of the house, but it certainly has always made my day when you refer to me as the lady of the house. It has always been that way. And Hala, Rep. Jones, I really thought Hala was your name for a while, till I Googled it. And I love your optimistic Hala messages, even though I have no idea what half of them mean. But plus, you are the world's greatest dresser and hugger, too. And Rep. Joe Tate, I forced him to help me up on stage at an AARP conference. He was my hero that day, and ever since. And if any of you ever fall down, you know, he'll be there to help you up. And I have a few days left. It could still happen, and I might have to call on Joe again. So one thing I discovered quickly is that being a female politician is much more difficult. We have so much more to be critical of. We're either too heavy or too thin, too old or too young. We have too much makeup on or not enough makeup, too low of a blouse, too high of a dress, pants too tight, hair too long or too short, too much bling or too boring looking, voice too childlike or too harsh, and more. So you men, just throw on your same suit every day, wear a different tie, comb your hair if you have any, cut your eyebrows back and shave your ears, and that's it. That's it. When I first came here, being an older woman, I found it particularly challenging to appear perky among so many of you who are younger than my own grandchildren. So unexpected stuff happens to you as you get older. I lost my eyebrows about 20 years ago. I have no idea where they went. So I have to pencil them in every day. So you can't imagine how difficult it has been for me to get them on the same on both sides of my face every day. Every morning I have to do this just so I can appear perky for you. So I have actually, as a senior director, I've seen little old ladies laid out at the funeral home because they had their eyebrows penciled on, and they look so surprised to be there. They look like they could say, I can't believe I'm laid out at the funeral. Okay, so I'm working hard to avoid that look. And of course, I have so many more wrinkles than you, as well as floppy skin, but I have discovered that the floppy skin part sometimes works in my favor, since it keeps moving after I'm already stopped. So I think it makes me look a little more active sometimes than I actually am. So the past year, people have been asking me, what in the world are you going to do after this? Actually, at almost 80, I'm flattered that anyone thinks I'm capable of doing anything when I leave here. I imagine some of you believe that I should just leave here in 2 weeks and drive directly to Rep. Wakeman's funeral home and just wait there. Shouldn't take long. There's so much I wish to say, that I could say, about how much I'll miss all of this and miss all of you, particularly my staff, Mindy and Kara, and all the amazing and talented policy gurus like Jared and Phil and Brian, and leadership and the clerks, and the very fun Alice, and my awesome family and children and seniors committee. So as people get older, they are often told in subtle and not so subtle ways that they don't matter anymore. I'm more than grateful to all of you who have communicated to me daily that I have value. So it's my hope that all of you here will keep a memory of me and smile. I will enthusiastically be cheering you from my recliner as you move forward into the 101st State Legislature and beyond. Thank you very much.